All right, folks. I'm sorry I've been a little bit absent. I wanna get back to YouTube and get some stuff out there for you guys. First thing I want to do a little bit of politics so everybody really understands the depth of what's going on here and how satanic it really is. I mean, this is just purely a satanic thing, and if you understand it in different terms, you don't look at it as Republican, Democrat, you don't look at it like that anymore at all. Look at it as a planet that every human on it is owned by a puppet master named Satan, and that puppet master is orchestrating every one of these puppets to achieve his goal for his domination of this planet and removing God completely from this planet. That's what this is really all about. So let's do that and let's get started. Okay, so here we go. This is I want to start here because it's very important. Now, guys, we're going to go through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 windows. I have 9 things on my desktop to add into this video. It'll probably be 30 minutes. We're going to have to listen to some testimonies. So just please sit tight and pay close attention. Okay, this is breaking secret list of every reporter on Hillary's payroll just leaked. Now this is WikiLeaks, and here comes this list. Here comes this list right here of all these people: Cecilia Vega, David Muir, Diane Sawyer, George Stephanopoulos, John Carl, John Hellman, Mark Halperin, all these people. And look, and you can look at all the different media companies, outlets that they work for, listed right here on the side. And then here's more. Okay, now I want to just show you the extent of this. Okay, now I want you to understand that these people all went to a party, and this is the RSVP list right here. And this was a party given by this guy, John Podesta. We're going to look at him again in just a minute. But you need to understand who this guy is. John Podesta has been in politics for a long time, and he was Barack Obama's senior advisor. He is Hillary Clinton's campaign manager. This guy is tied to Obama. He's tied to Hillary. He's tied to the Clintons in a huge way. So we'll go through these images in a minute so you can see the extent of Podesta's reach and who he is around. You know, there he is with Bill Clinton. This guy's been around the White House for a long, long time. We're going to get to that in a minute. So this guy is having a party. This guy right here is having a party. And at his party, here are the people who attended his dinner. He's having a dinner with all these people that are in reporting. I mean, that's buying and paying off. That is, putting all these reporters under your umbrella of influence, let's say. That's a good way of putting it. So you put all these reporters under your umbrella of influence, and it goes on and on and on and on. And these people are affiliated with Hillary Clinton. Now, I told you, I'm apolitical. I'm not for Donald Trump. I'm not for Hillary. I'm for Jesus and the rule of Christ in the heart of every man, woman, and child. That's what I'm for. Okay, Jesus is the Spirit of truth. When you see this is all lies. So let's get to it. So let me show you just the extent of that list I showed you. So you can go to our show notes right here. I'll put a link again for the show notes right here. And you can look at, I went, with Dave and I went and got images of all the people in a row that are on this list. So you can click here, see it says Cecilia Vega, ABC News. Let's go to the list. Okay, here we go. So here's the list. Cecilia Vega. Okay, let's see. And then David Muir. Okay, so as you look at our list, I wanted to give you faces with all the names. So I went through here and I did part of the list and Dave did part of the list. And so you can see these faces. They're all mouthpieces for Podesta and for Hillary Clinton and for Obama and what they stand for. So that means whatever you're dealing with these guys, you got to realize that it is being spun from their direction. You know what a spin doctor is? They put a record on and, they put a spin on everything. So you believe as they tell you to believe. And they put a spin on all their reporting, like pro-Hillary, pro-Obama. Well, so I want you guys to just have an opportunity to look at all these faces and mouthpieces. Look at all these mouthpieces. Look at all these different mouthpieces. Oh, my Lord. I mean, Rachel Maddow, she's nauseating. She's so left. I mean, all these people are mouthpieces that are under the influence of this person right here. Now watch. I'm gonna play a little clip here from Hillary, and I want you to listen. This is back dealing with the email thing. Now just listen.
Bernie Sanders said that, quote, the American people are sick and tired of hearing about your damn emails. But there are a lot of people who are not.
Well,
including FBI officials looking into whether national security was compromised because of this server. And
I just want to pause it. Is that something you should be laughing at? I mean, that's insane. Did you hear that cackle? That's insanity. Let's just break this down. Let's keep watching.
This is something else that is very confusing to me. With all your experience, why wouldn't you anticipate that over the course of 4 years, handling very sensitive diplomatic negotiations, overseeing military interventions and surveillance, why wouldn't you anticipate that something classified, whether about North Korea or Iran or drones or an informant for the CIA, that it wouldn't be emailed to you? And why wouldn't you consider that having it on your personal account with some server in Colorado might be a potential risk?
well, first of all, nothing, and I will underscore, nothing that I was sent or that I sent was marked classified.
Secretary Clinton said.
Okay, she just said nothing that I sent or was sent was marked classified. Now, before we continue, I want you to understand this is where the depth of the deceit is going to blow your mind. You see this guy right here, Trey Gowdy? Well, I've always said I have a lot of respect for Trey Gowdy. Same with Chavez. Same for the people that are going for these people like under oath. You know, they're going after Hillary Clinton. They're going after James Comey. You know, they're going after the liars and trying to hold them accountable, right? So you have the thesis and the antithesis. You have the liars, you know, and then you have the ones going after the liars, and you're trying to, you know, uncover the truth. And that's what it all appears to be, but sit tight. I'm going to show you, this is Trey Gowdy. I used to have a lot of respect for Trey Gowdy. I used to have a lot of respect for Chavez. Let me show you how deep the deception goes. Okay, we just heard Hillary Clinton. Let's hear that one more time.
Scored. Nothing that I was sent or that I sent was marked classified.
Okay, well, you're crazy. That's insane. And that's a lie. Okay, now watch.
There is no classified material. Was that true? There was
Let me go back to the beginning. Let's start.
Secretary Clinton said there was nothing marked classified on her emails either sent or received. Was that true?
That's not true. There were a small number of portion markings on, I think, 3 of the documents.
Secretary Clinton said, I did not email any classified material to anyone on my email. There is no classified material. Was that true?
There was classified material emailed.
I want to point something out. They never say she lied. They never use the word lie. No, she lied. That. They never say it. They won't say it.
Secretary Clinton said she used just one device. Was that true?
She used multiple devices during the 4 years of her term as Secretary of State.
Secretary Clinton said all work-related emails were returned to the State Department. Was that true?
No, we found work-related emails, thousands, that were not returned.
Secretary Clinton said neither she nor anyone else deleted work-related emails from her personal account. Was that true?
That's a harder one to answer. We found traces of work-related emails on devices or in Slack space, whether they were deleted or whether when a server was changed out something happened to them. There's no doubt that there were work-related emails that were removed electronically from the email system.
Secretary Clinton said her lawyers read every one of the emails and were overly inclusive. Did her lawyers read the email content individually?
No.
Well, in the interest of time, and because I have a plane to catch tomorrow afternoon, I'm not going to go through any more of the false statements, but I am going to ask you to put on your old hat. False exculpatory statements, they are used for what?
Well, either for a substantive prosecution or for evidence of intent in a criminal prosecution.
Exactly. Intent and consciousness of guilt, right?
Okay, so
Secretary Clinton.
Right there, it looks like Gowdy is going for the throat. It looks like Gowdy is tearing into Comey and saying, hey, man, what the hell? Bunch of lie. Let me tell you what that's called. That's called perjury. That is called collusion. I mean, we have, crimes on so many levels here. It's absurd. And so you start to wonder, well, wait a minute. Who's going to walk in and arrest Comey? Now we know Comey's been lying. Who's going to walk in and arrest Loretta Lynch? We know Loretta Lynch is colluded to keep the truth out. We know that all these people, even Obama lied. He said he didn't know about the email server. They're all lying. All of them are lying. Remember, the Bible says Satan is the father of lies. He invented lies, and he's the father of it. So if you're a liar, you're a child of the devil by definition. Okay, let's continue. Let's watch Jason Chavez now.
Requested any favor. Do you have any evidence that this exchange even happened?
Yes, I do, because it's in the FBI notes. It was an FBI document that said, from the FBI's perspective, that they were engaged with Patrick Kennedy, the Undersecretary for Management, direct report to Hillary Clinton, that they were engaged in a quid pro quo. That is a quote right out of their report. And remember,
but it's sort of unclear,
Congressman. They were under subpoena.
Who raised the issue first? The FBI agent who was talking with Kennedy, or Kennedy, who came up with this so-called quid pro quo idea, the State Department allowing more FBI agents to serve at embassies around the world, or the declassification of this Hillary Clinton email on the private server? Whose idea was it first?
Well, you have the Undersecretary for Management throwing this out there. Remember, this is a document that is under subpoena. And rather than complying with the subpoena and sending it to Congress as required by law, they're over there having a negotiation and a discussion that the FBI terms in their own documents as a quid pro quo. I'm not exactly definitive or sure whose idea it was first, but you have one party saying, I've got slots overseas that I really need. You have another one saying, I need to change the classification of an email to protect Hillary Clinton, and they have this discussion, and it goes on for some time. It's not like, hey, this was just quick. It went up the food chain. It was being negotiated. It was being discussed. And that to us, according for me and the chairman of the House Intelligence Committee, Devin Nunes, we believe that is a potential violation of law and that Mr. Kennedy engaged in those activities.
Okay, so now we have Kennedy trying to make a deal with the FBI, saying from the State Department, hey, guess what, guys? We'll give you guys money and we'll give you jobs overseas if you declassify, you change the classification of some of Hillary's emails. Do you understand what that is? That is collusion at its highest level. Okay, so this guy right here, Chavez, he sits as chairman of the House Oversight Committee, and you're wondering why him and why Gowdy, Trey Gowdy right here,
Secretary Clinton said she...
this guy, why this guy and why this guy and why this guy right here don't have any power to go in and start arresting people, serving people with, you are charged with these crimes documents. What is going on? I mean, so they're referring this stuff to the Department of Justice. They're saying, hey man, this is what's going on, and we're going to refer it to the Department of Justice. And they know that the Department of Justice is corrupt. Loretta Lynch meeting with Bill Clinton on a tarmac. Give me a break. When his wife is under investigation, and you have the head of the Justice Department meeting with Bill Clinton, whose wife is under investigation, on a tarmac to discuss grandkids. Give me a break. Okay, so how come this guy and this guy are not able to just get in there and serve some kind of documents arresting Hillary or charging her with a crime or subpoenaing her or doing something to stop this ongoing charade? Let me show you where this goes. Pay attention. Listen very closely now. This is where you need to listen.
No went on, no matter who's elected.
Yeah, no, we don't take Hillary Clinton. We like
you like her?
Yes.
There's going to be continued pressure for a criminal investigation of what we know went on, no matter who's elected president. And so I wouldn't necessarily count out a criminal investigation of Mrs. Clinton even under a Clinton administration, because I don't think the Attorney General that Mrs. Clinton would appoint would have much in the way of an argument to stop a special counsel from being appointed. How can that person investigate Mrs. Clinton without obviously a conflict of interest being so apparent? And Judicial Watch quickly took the lead in uncovering basically everything we know to date about the Clinton email scandal, and you'll see how we even led the FBI in terms of investigating it. And it was in one of those cases that led to discovery, which is evidence gathering. We took testimony of Cheryl Mills, Mrs. Clinton's former chief of staff at the State Department, Yuma Abedin, a deputy chief of staff, and many, many Clinton officials at the State Department who knew or should have known about the Clinton email scandal. And in fact, in one of our cases, Mrs. Clinton had to submit a statement under penalty of perjury that was produced to the court saying that as far as she knew, all the Clinton emails that she had were turned over to the government, that were government related. Well, in fact, we now know that 30,000 emails were deleted, and many of those were actually government related emails that shouldn't have been deleted. And as a result of all of this litigation, the FBI was pressured and the Justice Department was pressured to undergo, at least to begin, at least the appearance of a criminal investigation.
Pay attention. See, he's saying they were forced to undergo the appearance of a criminal investigation, because this is all a show, people. This whole damn thing is a show. All of it. Watch. Listen. So they put on the appearance of an investigation
that shouldn't have been deleted. And as a result of all of this litigation, the FBI was pressured and the Justice Department was pressured to undergo, at least to begin, at least the appearance of a criminal investigation into Mrs. Clinton's handling of the emails. And as we've learned over the last several weeks, obviously the FBI decided not to prosecute or recommend a prosecution, and the the Obama Justice Department decided not to prosecute her based on the alleged recommendation of Mr. Comey, the FBI director. But as we find out more details about the FBI investigation, we found out that a lot of these investigations that the FBI was undertaking didn't take place but for Judicial Watch's pressure from the litigation. The witnesses weren't questioned until it became clear Judicial Watch was either going to get discovery or was getting discovery and would be questioning some of these same witnesses. It was so bad that we just learned in the latest FBI document dump that the FBI was using documents produced to Judicial Watch under the Freedom of Information Act with redactions. So they couldn't even get the full document, and they were using those documents to question the witnesses. And of course, there's a lot of outrage about the FBI immunity agreements or Department of Justice immunity agreements granted the Clinton aides at issue in this case, and we'll get into that later. But I also want to call attention to the fact that Congress has been making a lot of noise. The FBI director was testifying earlier this week to Congress. But let's highlight the fact that Congress can take steps that it's refusing to take the whole...
Okay, here we go. Listen and listen good. That's what I was saying. Wait a minute. They got to be able to do something. You can't just have the Justice Department bearing it because it goes all the way to the top to Obama. We know where it goes. And they're all protecting Obama is who they're protecting. And every one of them is protecting Obama. That's where this all goes back. And so this guy is about to tell you, hey, there's something weird going on here because the House Oversight Committee, they have the power. These guys, Gowdy and Chavez, these guys have the power to do something, and here's what they have the power to do. Listen.
But I also want to call attention to the fact that Congress has been making a lot of noise. The FBI director was testifying earlier this week to Congress. But let's highlight the fact that Congress can take steps that it's refusing to take to hold Mrs. Clinton accountable on this email scandal. And I think this is something important to remember. You know, Mrs. Clinton testified to Congress that she turned over all of her government emails. We know that to be false. And Congress, what did it do? It referred that question of whether she committed perjury to the Department of Justice for a criminal investigation. Well, who are they fooling? They know what's going to happen at the Obama Justice Department. They already know where the FBI director comes down on that. Why isn't there a contempt citation pending against Mrs. Clinton now? Why do they have to wait for the Justice Department to do something?
Exactly.
If they think that she was in contempt of Congress, the way they treated in terms of her testimony being incorrect or false, and the fact that emails were destroyed after Congress subpoenaed them, why is it that Congress isn't holding Mrs. Clinton in contempt? The answer is somewhat obvious. They have an election, and they don't want accountability in a true sense of the word to get in the way of their quest for retaining Congress. And I'm talking about the Republican leadership. And the other uncomfortable point I'm going to bring up, at least from the point of view, I think, of many Republican leaders, is that they can also impeach Mrs. Clinton. And they don't have to wait for her to be president to impeach her. Congress retains the ability to impeach a federal officer for conduct, whether that officer was whether that officer is still in office or not. Probably, other than one of the few folks in the country who's read all the Clinton emails that have been released and knows what others are about to be released and can give us a great update and certainly some unique insight on the classification issues that have been we've been so misled about thanks to John Kerry's State Department, the Obama administration, and Mr. Comey.
Thank you, Tom. And it's great to be with this panel. What a great opportunity for the American public to get up to speed on what the real story is and not necessarily the talking points from the Clinton campaign or from the Justice Department. You know, I come at this investigation, at this whole problem of Clinton corruption from the perspective of an intelligence officer. I was commissioned as an Army intelligence officer, became a special agent of Army counterintelligence, and then later on was trained as a clandestine human intelligence case officer. So my view on these things is both from a defensive standpoint, from counterintelligence perspective, having conducted counterespionage investigations, but also from the point of view of an intelligence officer looking to collect against a target. And so when you look at the track record, at the pattern of behavior, of the conduct, of the vulnerabilities that have been exposed through this entire scandal, the American public is being misled, and they're being misled in a very deliberate fashion, which is not just disturbing from a factual basis, but it's deeply corrosive to the public's understanding of what's been put at risk by Mrs. Clinton and her conduct. So as a special agent of Army counterintelligence, I'm directly personally responsible for neutralizing, for stopping 6 Foreign Intelligence Service agents. Those are cases that I ran. I've put people in jail, not just under the American legal system, but even under the German legal system. I've worked with the Attorney General in Baden-Württemberg to put a guy in jail for spying, for espionage. And in particular, I think everyone needs to appreciate that Mrs. Clinton was the subject of a national security crime investigation. This wasn't a security review.
Okay, let's hear that one more time, people. Listen. That's right. This is called treason. This is treason. Selling out you, your kids, every one of y'all. Throw you in the gutter. That means, they did not act in the interest of our armed forces. They did not act in the interest of the people that protect this country. They did not act in the interest of the people that live in this country. They acted in their own sick, twisted, selfish interest. Listen one more time.
Württemberg to put a guy in jail for spying, for espionage. And in particular, I think everyone needs to appreciate that
Listen.
Mrs. Clinton was the subject of a national security crime investigation.
She was the subject of a national security crime investigation, okay, which she is guilty of. All the evidence is apparent that she's guilty. Now listen.
This wasn't a security review. It wasn't an argument over classification levels. This was a violation of Title 18 of the U.S. Code, Section 793F, mishandling national defense information.
Okay, there you go. Now, I'm going to hold on to that for just a second, and we're going to look at this guy, John Podesta, for a second, okay? I did a video a while back, and I told you guys that this guy, Judge Scalia, you can go back, type in Judge Scalia. I told you this guy was murdered. He was part of a secret society of hunting. When you look at their logo, it's an alien head, no doubt about it. It's a head of an alien. I did several videos on Scalia's death. He was out at this ranch in West Texas. He died allegedly in his sleep. There was a swimming pool right outside his door. Instead of driving the body to Alpine, Texas, which was 30 minutes away, they drove 2 hours all the way to El Paso, and they cremated a federal judge's body so no autopsy could be done. Give me a break. Back then, I knew it was a big fat rat. Let me show you the big fat rat. Here he is, John Podesta. That's the rat right there. That is the filthy rat right there. Let me show you John Podesta's emails. Day of reckoning, shocking new details on U.S. treaty, a massive embarrassment. Obama, let's see. According to new WikiLeaks emails, 3 days before Justice Scalia, look at this, 3 days before Justice Scalia died, this email was sent using the term wet works, exclusively used in military meaning, read it for yourself, assassination. Reason, thanks from Elmendorf to John Podesta at gmail.com. I am all in. Sounds like it will be a bad night. I guess so for Scalia. We all need to buckle up and double down. From John Podesta. Buckle up and double down. Thanks. Didn't think wet works meant pool parties at the vineyard. He was at a place they had vineyards there too. Wet work is a euphemism for murder or assassination alluding to spilling blood. From Elmendorf to John Podesta, 2016-02-09. I am all in. Sounds like it will be a bad night. We all need to double down. From John Podesta. Didn't think wet works meant pool parties at the vineyard. Take a good look at it. Now, remember, here's what's most disturbing. This guy and this guy could have taken all of this to they could have taken it to a contempt of Congress level and an impeachment level, but instead they referred it back to the Department of Justice that's under Obama, with Loretta Lynch, who met with Hillary Clinton's husband on an airplane. Oh my God. Now, let me show you what's really behind it. Y'all ready? It's called the Hegelian dialectic. I've told you about it before. It's problem, reaction, solution, but it's better than that. You own the thesis. You own the antithesis. Look, one right side up, one upside down. And then you get the synthesis. The new thing you're after. And that's what this whole planet's about. Thesis and antithesis. Truth and lies. And they're going for this in the middle. And that's their new world order. That's it. The Hegelian dialectic. It's simple and it's diabolical. Go read about it. It's how these guys operate. It's how the whole thing operates. That's why you can rest assured that what's about to happen is printed on the U.S. currency. They are going to nuke New York City. I guarantee it. Guaranteed. While everybody's looking at the puppet show, let me show you where the real show is, because the Spirit of the living God lives in me, and He gave me gifts to give to you. And those gifts show exactly what's going to happen. Because they already did it. This looks past the veil, people. You want to see the guy behind the curtain? I'm showing him to you. And that's the guy behind the curtain, Baphomet, Satan. That's why every bombing in the United States is printed on U.S. currency. See it? There it is. And there's all the bombings printed on your money before they ever happened. And you turn the bill, you make a pentagram, you turn the pentagram upside down, and there are their plans. I'll quote Isaiah 29:15 and 16. Those who try and hide their plans from the Lord are doomed. They carry out their schemes in secret and think no one will see them or know what they're doing. They turn everything upside down. Let me show you what's about to happen so you know. There's the new $100 bill. And that is nukes coming down, missiles coming down, and exploding, and nuclear wind and water coming in between buildings in New York City. Right there. Wow. That's weird. Look at my random image. It shows a map. This image right here is right there on that map. Wonder what... This is a random image generator, people. I wonder what the odds of that are. Anyway, that's just crazy. So now we see, Chavez and Gowdy, I used to really think these guys are tough, man. These guys have, huevos. They're going for it. They're just part of the same Hegelian dialectic. Nothing's going to happen. They're part of Satan's puppet show. Let me show you that $100 bill next to an image of what it's going to look like. They're going to take out the Hoover Dam, so West Coast doesn't have water, no water within 3 days. People start dying. That's one of the major water systems. They're going to take that out. That's on the $50 bill right here. And then they're going to take out New York. That's printed as an image on the $10 bill as well as the $100 bill. There's a tidal wave coming over a 7-story building. Here's the $100 bill. Missiles coming down. Nuclear wind destroying these buildings as well as water coming between the buildings. Let me see if I have an image of that. There you go. Let me see if I have a side by side. Here's the image on the 100, and here is what it will look like right there. There it is. Okay, the next video I'm going to do is going to be scripture. I'm going to go back and we're going to revisit the most important thing of all, because I'm telling you, it's what uncovers all of this. It's looking past the veil. I'm looking way past the veil. Everybody's watching the puppet show. There's the puppet show. There's the puppet show. There's the puppet show. This is the puppet show. You need to see past the puppet show. All right, peace and grace.